Welcome to Marketing Recap, the weekly roundtable that gives you an inside peek into the latest news from the world of digital marketing and what it means for your business to help you stay ahead of the curve. Co-hosted by Cynthia Johnson of Rank Lab, Blake Jamieson of BlakeJamieson.com, and BJ Smith from The Busy Marketer. Ready to join the conversation? Let's get to today's headlines. Welcome to Marketing Recap. In this episode, we're talking about Facebook's new multi-product ads, Google's new photo tools, and call-only ads, and what this all means for your business. If you're watching us live on the Google Hangout or on YouTube, we want to hear from you. So join our live Twitter chat using the hashtag MRCap. We want your questions, your comments, and and share some of them on the show tonight. So jump on in the chat right now, hashtag MRCap. And all right, before we get started, is anybody else hearing an echo?
I'm not, but that might mean it's me.
All right. I just want to make sure I'm not too loud.
I'm fine.
All right. So let me. Yeah, no, I'm getting it bad. Are you hearing it, Cynthia?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, yeah, there you go. It stopped when he muted himself.
Okay.
All right, well, I'm not going to introduce Blake first, and I'll introduce Cynthia. Our roundtables for tonight, we're going to introduce the Director of Marketing and Social Media at Rank Lab and the Editorial Director for socialmediaclub.org. Please welcome the social media girl, Cynthia Johnson. What's up, Cynthia?
Hi, BJ. Oh, gosh, what a day. This is exciting, though. Lots of new stuff going on with Google and Facebook and Pinterest. Everybody's changing, so this will be fun.
I need to live vicariously through you. What's the weather like?
Oh, my gosh, it's 75, I think, probably beautiful. It did rain a couple days ago for like an hour, maybe. So the traffic was kind of bad, if that makes you feel better.
No, not at all.
No? Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I haven't worked in like 2 weeks because there's snow and ice, and we don't know how to deal with that down here in the South. So my kids have been to school one day this week, and I think they did like 2 partial days last week. So it's really kind of crazy, and they're not even going to school on time tomorrow just because it's going to be cold. I mean, it's not even snow on the ground anymore. So
Wow.
yeah, black ice and things like that. They're just kind of freaked out about it. So I'm looking forward to the 60s that are coming next week. So I'm excited.
Yeah, 60s is our winter. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm ready to do some work too.
Yeah.
I love my kids, but staying home with them all week for like 2 weeks is a bit much. So. Blake, you ready to play along with us, buddy?
Yeah, I think so.
So let me go ahead and introduce him real quick. He is our resident Facebook ads expert from Pool Supply World and Arch Digital Agency and BlakeJamieson.com. Welcome back, Mr. Blake Jamieson.
Yeah, happy to be back. Been a wild few weeks for me too, mostly working on the house, which you can see is finally painted, so that's really
nice.
exciting. But yeah, lots of exciting things going on with Facebook ads too, so lots to talk about tonight.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I am BJ Smith. I'm an e-commerce marketing coach at thebusymarketer.com and host of the Busy Marketer podcast on iTunes and Stitcher and a few other places if you want to go digging around for them. And since we're talking about that already, let's talk a little bit about iTunes and Stitcher because we'd love for you to subscribe to the Marketing Recap podcast. And if you enjoy the show, please leave us a rating and review while you're there. Like I said, go ahead and join us if you're watching us live on the Twitter chat, hashtag MRCap. We want to hear from you tonight. We want your input. We want to get your comments, your questions, all that fun stuff. So we're going to dive right into the story that we were teasing last week about Facebook, their multi-product ads and their dynamic product ads. So we waited till the best was here. Mr. Blake Jamieson, why don't you take it away?
Yeah. All right. Thank you for saving this one for me. I appreciate that. So yeah, Facebook recently released multi-product ads, and so when you see in your newsfeed, either on desktop or on your phone, you will see an ad that has a couple little square boxes kind of next to each other, and you can scroll through them and go to different things. So this is interesting because Google has been doing, it kind of looks like a carousel. It's an ad carousel, if you will. And Google has been doing that with retargeting, which for a while, or maybe even not just Google, I think even retargeting companies are doing it on ad units that Google has been selling. So this is not a new thing, but it's new to Facebook. And so that's exciting because you can advertise multiple products in your ad. And it just got even more exciting because Facebook now has a tracking pixel like they've always had. You had to install it on a particular page. It would collect data and tell you the people or Facebook users that have been to that particular page, and then you could target them with an ad. And now you can do dynamic retargeting through your product feed. So if you upload or give Facebook access to your product feed, if you have an e-commerce site, then you can do retargeting for people that went and looked at your widget A, and then you can show them in the carousel widget A, the ad for that, which is really cool. Something where I notice a lot of retargeting is like Home Depot. I'm on Home Depot all the time, and then I go over to Facebook, and I might be looking at a particular lamp, and then I will see that exact lamp staring at me in the face or in the Facebook. Yeah, and those are really effective because you've already kind of got awareness about the product and about your business for those people, and they're seeing it again, and sometimes that's all you need to get somebody to make a purchase because it's not always the first time. So, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to throw out some experience that I absolutely love using the retargeting ads from the Google Display Network and a few different other places. In the past, I've used the system that Google has. I've used a company called Steelhouse, another company called eBay Enterprise, which was originally called Fetchback, and they were bought up by eBay, and had some experience around AdRoll a little bit as well. And all these companies basically do the same thing that you're talking about. They take your product feed, and a lot of e-commerce sites, especially ones if you're really growing and large, will have a product feed for Google or for Amazon or somewhere like that. So it's an XML feed, and it's really simple to kind of incorporate some of that information back into these systems and show people who have been to your site the same products that they've already looked at. And like you said, Blake, I've actually had really, really great success using that kind of ad. The cost per conversion is usually quite a bit lower than a random, just a typical search term ad that you'd find in Google AdWords.
Yeah, I mean, something I think that's important to keep in mind is that if somebody's been to your site and you have a marketing mix of some paid channels and organic, is that the cost per acquisition might be cheaper for the retargeting stuff, but you just have to factor in what was the cost to get them the first time, because that's factored into the purchase too. But what I think is really interesting about it, and you kind of mentioned, you've used AdRoll or you've used the Steel company or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So Facebook, I think, was really, really smart about this because they basically, sometimes tech companies come out with a product because they're like, we really, really think that you need this, so here, take it. And it may or may not work because they may or may not get it right. But what Facebook did is they let all of these third-party vendors basically do retargeting. Perfect Audience is one that I played with, which recently got acquired. AdRoll, and there's a handful of them, and they keep popping up. And they have their own little ecosystem where they are selling ad capabilities that are really, really painful to do manually. That could be done, but with individual pixels, it's not manageable. So they built that using the Facebook API, and then once they got a huge market, and like I said, I mean, Perfect Audience got acquired less than a month ago by like Yahoo or something like that. And so Facebook's like, okay, cool. So people want it, and there's a legitimate need for it. And now, instead of having a middleman get paid, which essentially what happens when there's a middleman there is that, the consumer pays the middleman. Middleman takes a fee and pays Facebook. So the consumer is getting double charged, essentially, and paying more for these conversions or these impressions, which drives up up their total cost for an acquisition or whatever. So when Facebook takes that over and brings that in-house and says, okay, you know what, we're going to offer retargeting with multi-product ads, and we're not going to charge the management, the middleman fee, because we're the one fee that you have to pay. So it does really good things, I think, for everybody. It brings down the cost of the acquisition for the end user, the ones that want to take advantage of it, if they're willing to kind of put in the little bit of time, because it does take a little bit of setup. So that's great, and it's great for Facebook because it gets and streamlines it. And I think there are a lot of people that don't want to use like third-party tools. They just think that it gets too complicated. Because I know I keep track of so many different random accounts and tools that it's frustrating and overwhelming. So
yeah, it's also nice to have your data all in the same place, and your tools are the same. So if you're doing this in Facebook, if you're using Facebook's retargeting system or their dynamic ad system, you're doing it within Power Editor, which is where where hopefully most folks are building their ads anyway. So yeah, it kind of gives you a one-stop shop. That was one of the things that was very frustrating about using some of these other systems, because you had different control panels to get used to, different analytics that you had to deal with. It's nice to have everything in one place that you're already familiar with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And also with so many changes, to Facebook or Facebook ads or the ad rules or whatever it is, there's just one change, and then you have the new platform. If Facebook makes a big change and then there's a third party that relies on whatever they're doing, then they have to adapt and they have to put out an update, and it's a huge pain in the butt. So yeah, I think that it's great for everyone. I haven't gotten a chance to actually make any myself, unfortunately, because I've been swamped with some video projects for the last few weeks. But working at Pool Supply World, I am super excited for pool season, which is right around the corner. And hopefully you too will have a pool season, BJ. I know. Maybe just ice skating. I don't know.
Actually, I had a swimming pool in my backyard, a natural one that formed overnight because of all the snow and the ice that we had. And my backyard floods like crazy in the back. And it was so weird to get up this morning when it was raining, but the ice was sort of floating on top of the water back there. So I was like, it would be kind of cool if it dropped down to like 10 degrees or something like that and just froze all that solid. Go ice skating back there. Hey, so something else about this dynamic ads. Now we're talking about the dynamic part of it, but the product ads themselves, the ability to have the carousel with multiple products shown, it's not just for e-commerce companies, and you don't necessarily have to have a catalog. So maybe you're not as advanced as some people where you've got the catalog that you can export and send a feed up to Facebook. If you have a service, if you use services, or I even saw John Loomer doing his blog posts. So he put like 3 to 5 different blog posts in a carousel and promoted that as an ad.
Yeah, and it's cool too because you can have tracking IDs for each item in the carousel, and if they click on each item, it takes them somewhere different. But you can see which ones are getting clicked. So it would be interesting for me because you can set them in any order you want. So I think it would be really interesting to just do it. Maybe keep it simple. Maybe 3 blog posts, and then create a variation where each different blog post is at the front, and just see which ones get clicked. Yeah, I think it's great. It just opens up a lot of opportunities to advertise and kind of do a field test with your content or with your products to see which ones people actually respond to, because you might just be advertising your top selling product or your most read article, but that doesn't mean that that's what everybody wants. So I just think it's really cool, and the fact that they're cutting out the middleman and making it easier, it's great.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think one of the things that I really enjoy about this is the fact that the people who are seeing it are familiar with you already. I think one of the problems that a lot of folks have with Facebook advertising is, a lot of people are being targeted based on other things that they like or other things that they talk about, these different types of personality traits. And it can be very hard for a lot of companies, like if you were Pool Supply World, if you went in there and you were just trying to attract new customers, it's harder because it's almost, I don't want to say it's intrusive, but some people, especially in the early days, kind of saw it as intrusive. When why is this company that I've never seen or heard of before showing me something? And with these dynamic product ads, not only are they already familiar with you, but they're familiar with the exact products that they looked at. So if somebody's going to Pool Supply World and throw out a product, I don't know, skimmer or pumps or chlorine or something like that. I don't whatever kind of stuff you guys use. You can tell I don't have a pool. Whatever it is, if somebody is checking out and they're looking at maybe 3 different variations of a product, or even smarter, if they look at one product because they came in on a AdWords ad or something like that, then they're in Facebook and they see that product again and they see 2 other related products. That's going to kind of pique their interest again and hopefully re-engage them and get them buying.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's just kind of come to a point where with like e-commerce, it's expected that if you have an e-commerce conversion rate of 5 or 10%, we'll say 10, which is totally shooting for the moon, but that's insane. Nobody has that. Period. Marketers are settling for a 2% conversion, 0.5% conversion, whatever it is. So there's all of this. So then the challenge is like, well, let's just get as much traffic as possible, and if we can get, double our users, get 10,000 users to come to our site, we're going to get whatever 20 sales because we have a 1% conversion rate or whatever it is. So the thing is, I think that there's just so much wasted resources that are spent acquiring all of the people that don't end up buying for you. And there's kind of this spectrum of like trust or whatever it is, buying intent, where once somebody kind of crosses the threshold and is ready to buy from your company and they make a purchase, great. But for how many people come to your site, and really this isn't even just e-commerce, this is anything. People that come to your site and then they're close, but then the phone rings, or it's time to pick up the kids from school, or whatever it is, the pizza delivery gets here. Like anything like could come in the way, and it's nothing bad about your business. It's just life happens, and it came up, and so you already have like a certain amount of this threshold, and if you just can capitalize and just focus on those people, I think that you could double your conversion rate a lot easier than doubling traffic to your site.
Very true. Very true. Hey, let me throw out some quick numbers here that I saw, and you're friends with John Loomer, and we mentioned him before on here, and he is amazing at advanced Facebook ads as well. He's no Blake Jamieson, right? I was just looking to see his response. He was paying attention.
Yeah, I was paying attention. John's awesome. He's the man and my hero.
Yeah. Well, okay, so he was doing some experiments, and let me throw out some of the numbers that he had listed on his blog. And he was running a couple of these different ads. One of them was for an actual product. So this was his Power Hitters Club, where it's his membership business to help people with advanced Facebook marketing. And he is seeing clicks, traffic, resulting in website clicks for an average of 8 cents, which is awesome. And he also did the blog post ones that I was talking about earlier, where he threw up 3 different blog posts in a carousel in these ads, and he was getting 15 and 20 cents to drive traffic to the blog posts. And his cost per conversion is running for the Power Hitters Club is running about $15. Which isn't bad considering the.
He's absolutely killing it.
$15, and now you have to think that this is a membership system that he's getting between $670 and $924 a year off of. So would I pay $15 for that? Any day of the week. So I think this is some good stuff, and I'm looking forward to hearing from more e-commerce companies who are experimenting with it. I can't wait to hear what the Pool Supply World's doing with it, and see what kind of results you guys end up getting too. Let's talk a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super excited about it. It's gonna be good.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about. Actually, let me back up 1 second. Cynthia, do you have anything you want to add to the Facebook stuff? I mean, we've kind of left you out of this one.
No, I mean I actually work a lot in the service versus product space, and someone in the chat, a newcomer, Ben Phillips, he works in the non-medical senior care industry, which is kind of similar to what I am, and he said that Facebook retargeting ads are great for decision makers, people who are apparently he's had great success. I've had some success in like a high conversion model business with retargeting ads on Facebook. So I find that interesting, that it's not just e-commerce, and of course the product side is. But Ben Phillips is all about it. He agrees with you, Blake. So
Yeah,
I'll say that.
Yeah, I think retargeting can work in anything, literally anything. I know that one of the other, Marissa was saying that she's still trying to figure out how remarketing part works. She needs to test it. I highly encourage that she tests it, or that you test it, because it just builds trust and credibility. And anybody that you're out engaging with for whatever reason, if you have more trusting, more credibility, then that's good.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. So the remarketing part, like, and that's kind of your area, right? So this is custom audiences, yes?
Yeah. So like that dynamic retargeting is a form of remarketing, but you can also just do it tracking your website visitors, either that go to any page on your site or a specific page on your site, and then you can hit them with a specific custom tailored Facebook ad, which I'm seeing more and more, pros and cons. I think that I get super saturated to some things, and my newsfeed becomes a lot of repetition. If my newsfeed is mirroring what I'm doing off of Facebook, then I'm not kind of stimulated to go and try new stuff or whatever. But there's a ton of trust now with the people that are retargeting to me and doing it in a good way. And I don't just mean like a buy kind of messaging. It's like it's content and it's value and it's conversation. And if people can do that, that's how John Bloomer built his business. And that's why he gets website clicks for 8 cents, because that's insanely good, really, 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 really good price. And that's because his content is solid and it's shareable and it's great stuff. And if you have good stuff, whether it's good products or content, then remarketing is amazing.
Okay. Well, let's move on to our next topic, unless you guys have anything you want to add. Nope.
No.
Seeing none, let's move on. All right, so Google has, and this is going to be a quick one, I think, because it's very simple, very straightforward. Google has added a new ad type called call-only ads. So this is a part of AdWords. In the past, there have been different call-outs where you can put your phone number inside of an ad, but essentially the entire point of this ad is for somebody who is doing a Google search on their phone to see your ad and tap a button and call you immediately. And this is great for a lot of companies who are service-based, for example, a lot of local businesses. I think this is something that's going to be a little more, I know it's going to be a little bit more difficult to track, because you don't necessarily, a lot of times the conversion actually happens over the phone. So how do you go back in, unless you have a more sophisticated call system set up, how do you go back in and say, yes, this actual click or tap led to a conversion? But for a lot of people, and actually the numbers that I was seeing was that 70% of people who do a search on their phone for a business or something like that, 70% of those people lead to a call. So, they're just kind of shortcutting the system. So why go through the process of taking them to an ad, and then from the ad taking them to a landing page and having them to search out for a phone number to get back to actually make that phone call, when a lot of times all they want to do is make that call off the top. And this is something that's going to be set up through it's going to be set up as a phone call system in AdWords. So you don't have the option of the URL in there. You can link a URL, you can put a URL in the subject, but really what it's asking you to do is it's going to say call at the top. It's going to give a phone number. Then it's suggesting that you make a call to action in your text of your ad that is saying, hey, call now for a free estimate, or call now for this and that. And then below that is the actual button that somebody can hit with their phone and call. So I think it's, like I said, it's not something that is going to be, a groundbreaking feature, but I do think it's going to be a lot easier for some businesses, like e-commerce businesses we were talking about earlier. Most of the time, you're probably going to want to lead people into your website. Because that's where the conversions are going to take place. But for a lot of local and service businesses, I think this call feature is going to be a nice little addition to the lineup.
Yeah, definitely. Especially service providers like, we're in LA, like, you have a lot of food delivery services that are outsourced. They go to various businesses to deliver for you, or now you have people that go shopping for you. And if you could just call them directly from Google, there's almost no reason to use the apps as much anymore. Which is pretty genius on Google's part. A lot of businesses use apps in that way to kind of hone in on bits of traffic that was otherwise too expensive. And yeah, now that it's just, they put the ads up there, and Google gets in a little piece of the pie, and less people need to really travel elsewhere.
One of the things I was trying to research and find out, and I haven't found the answer yet, was whether or not the phone numbers are dynamic, because one of the options that Google had a while back was this dynamic phone numbers, where a new phone number was assigned to each ad, and then in that way they could go back through and say, and they had a method for tracking a conversion to a particular phone number, and that was one of the ways that they said, this basically in the e-commerce world we want to justify spending money on our ads, and we want to see revenue assigned to each ad, and it's hard to know which ones are working other than a click or a tap in this case. So I was curious to see if they were making dynamic ads, dynamic phone numbers to go along with this, or if it was just the straight phone number for the business. And from what I can tell, it's just a phone number from the business.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that they would include that at some point, or at least the business would make that decision to have multiple phone numbers in testing that. Because another thing is the quality of calls coming from certain ads. Depending on the type of business you have, that also, maybe you're getting a great ad spend for calls, but the calls aren't converting. Well, that's not really worth your time. So to know where those calls are coming from based on where the ad's displayed, of course, is helpful. So you're not wasting money.
Yeah. And some of the people were actually throwing out some comments that what happens if the person who is tapping the button doesn't realize that they're making a call, and because as soon as they touch the button, you get charged for the ad, so it's charged as a click. And if there's a button on your phone that says call and you tap it, what do you expect is going to happen? I don't know. Are there going to be that many people who, oh my God, I didn't really mean to call these people, and hang up really fast? If they want the phone number, it's right there at the top of the ad. So I think that's kind of their way of going back and saying, hey, look, we don't want you to push this button to get the phone number. Here's the phone number up there. If you want to call it, we'll make it easier for you.
Yeah.
I'm guessing since they have, when you're running pre-roll ads on YouTube owned by Google, then and they click off before 15 seconds, click skip ad, you don't get charged for those impressions. So I'm guessing there's probably got to be like a 5-second something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Everything I've seen says as soon as you click it, you get charged. And that was the thing that was kind of in my head is, how do the phone numbers work, and are they dynamic, and is it something that when does the actual charge kick in? So they might have a little bit of work to do on it, but again, I don't really know that they're going to have that many people who are going in and clicking on it and not really expecting the phone to start calling somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it became an issue where, marketers were getting charged for, up to hundreds, or in a bigger business, hundreds of thousands of 3-second phone calls, there would definitely be a need for change, or they would just back out. I mean, hopefully you would back out if that's happening. Please don't continue to use the ads.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, any other additions to the Google call-only ad types? Yeah.
No,
pretty simple, and I think it's going to have some interesting uses. I tend to shy away from things that are hard to track, but I think there are going to be a lot of businesses that will benefit from it anyway. So speaking of Google, one more thing from Google. Let's talk a little bit about their new photo tools that are going to help for businesses to show off their business pages. They've made a few changes, and Cynthia's going to tell us a little bit about that. Can you do that?
Yeah, of course. So Google Plus, the thing that everyone uses and no one knows that they're using. They are now allowing business pages to add images of theirs. So say if you have a facility, right, whether it's a hotel or a doctor's office, so on and so forth, you can have exterior images and interior images versus, and then you also get to choose the image display when your company appears in search. That's exciting because right now the image features, or the way images are featured, is very chaotic. A lot of times the image that you'll see in search, or the way that the images are displayed, almost look like a puzzle piece that should have been put together properly and wasn't. So that helps. I think for hotels and for hotels and med spas and local businesses, restaurants, so on and so forth, it's very helpful for people to get a well-rounded opinion of you, because I don't know if anyone remembers, but it used to be that if you were searching for dinner, and you would pull your GPS and it would tell you all these places where you could go to dinner, and then you would click on that place and it would go to the website of the company. Well, about a year ago, Google changed that, and now if you search dinner, pulls a GPS, it gives you this like nice stream of images of all of the restaurants, and then when you click on the restaurant, instead of going to the website, it takes you to a Google search for that restaurant. And that's where those images lived, and that's where, of course, you can make reservations on Google, and you never really have to leave Google. And this is just an extra step that brings us to never leaving Google. But since we're already not leaving Google, we might as well have our best foot forward. So I appreciate them making that change. But you will definitely yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, a lot of times when you are putting your Facebook, I'm still on that. If you're putting your Google Plus page together, a lot of folks are just putting their logo in there, and they're maybe putting a cover photo in there as well. And again, you weren't really having as much control over it. And Google actually, in their press release, they put out a really nice example showing a search results, and it was a company that just had a black text logo, and it was for some sort of food, bakery, or something like that. And when you looked at it, you just saw this big white block that had black text in it, and it wasn't very appealing, but it's giving you the option of going in and say, okay, well, maybe I want to use a photograph of one of my products. So if this is a bakery, some of the really tasty stuff that you have to offer, make that picture show up next to your business information, and it's going to be much more appetizing, much more appealing. And it doesn't mean, in doing that, you don't actually have to replace your logo on your business page at the same time.
Right, exactly. And there's definitely sticklers about having the logo and everything look be the same across all the pages. No, I mean, I think it's great. I work again for a lot of facility type businesses, and to have that ability, of showcasing the product or the environment versus the logo is it's really helpful.
Great. Have you had a chance to go back and look at that? I actually went into one of my business pages. And, oh, by the way, when you're looking through this, Google calls it, says that you can log into Google My Business on the web. And that's what Google My Business on the web. That means that you're logging into your business's Google Plus page. By the way, if you didn't know that, because I was like, do I have that? I'm not sure if I have that. And I don't remember logging into that. And oh yeah. It says My Business. I see. I see what you're talking about. It's on Google Plus, but they actually walk you through the process, and it tells you to go into Photos. And when I look at Photos under My Business page, I don't see anything that looks unusual, because they say that they're going to give you recommendations for what to do with the logo, what to do with your cover, and different places to sort of help you along with this new process. But I don't know if it's something that's rolling out or if it's something we already have and it's just deep in there and I haven't found it yet.
Well, what type of page do you? Is it a local business page?
I don't know how I have it set up. That's a good question.
That's another. The other thing that's about Google is that all of these suggestions that they give you, right? They're so frustrating because they also suggest and create pages for people that already have pages but might not be set up correctly. And so you know, in this process, if you're excited and you want to go and showcase your business, maybe do a Google search for the business and see how many, if there are multiple Google Plus pages out there for you, because they'll have an impact. And if you are a local business, be sure that it's set up as a local business and verified, because otherwise they'll create a business page for you, which you will then have to contact them and merge the two pages or delete one of them after you gain access to it.
Yeah.
It's quite a process.
It's a huge pain.
What are you saying, Blake?
Oh, I just said it's a huge pain. We used to, we had the Pool Supply World corporate kind of one, and then we opened a retail store in Northern California, and so we tried to add the address, and it made us a separate page, and then we got acquired and moved to Arizona, and so we had to shut that one down, and it still shows. It's just such a pain. But now, once you get it worked out, it's great.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Anything else to add on the Google tools? Seeing none. All right. Well, again, I want to thank everybody who's been hanging out with us tonight. Before we go, I want to ask a favor, and please take a minute and leave a rating and review for us on iTunes. I do need to issue an apology to everybody out there who are listening to the actual audio version of the podcast. I try to get these things out on Tuesdays, and because I've been playing full-time dad because of all the weather, I just finished getting the podcast edited, and I'm working on getting the show notes done. So the podcast episode from last week will be available on Friday, which will be tomorrow, for those of you who are listening to it live. And I promise I'll try to get more regular with it, and hopefully we won't have any more crazy storms. So anyway, like I was saying, go ahead. Please leave us a rating and review. This is important to us. We need this to rise up in the rankings and to let other people discover our show as well. Something else, we also send out a list of stories each week along with a link to the Hangouts so you can join us live. You can sign up by going to marketingrecap.com/newsletter. And also our Flipboard, while I'm at it. Cynthia has created a great Flipboard that the three of us actually add stories to throughout the week. This is one of the ways that we kind of keep in contact with each other and figure out what stories we're going to report on every week. And if you would like access to that Flipboard, I made a short link for you, so you can go to marketingrecap.com/flipboard. And with that being said, we're going to wrap up this episode of Marketing Recap. I'll go around and let you guys tell how people can get in touch with you and what you got going on. Blake, let's start with you, buddy.
Yeah. All right. So this worked really well for me last episode, or 2 episodes ago. So I'm gonna do it again. Snapchat, Blake J Snap. That's it.
How about you, Cynthia?
Yes, you can actually find me on Twitter. It's the easiest way to get in contact, at Cynthia Live. It's actually in the display on the video. It should be, anyway. And yeah, that's it. If you have to email me, Cynthia at socialmediaclub.org is the best one. So, thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Cynthia. Thanks, Blake. As for me, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at BJ Smith Strategy. Again, come check out my other podcast, the Busy Marketer Podcast, next week. Mark your calendars for, let me see what the date is. Hang on. Stand by. That's what I'm doing. Doing it live. Friday, March 6th. Season 2 of the Busy Marketer Podcast will debut. And I've got with me the author of the book Sticky Branding. So I want you guys to go check it out. Please go subscribe. And again, I appreciate ratings and reviews there as well. Stitcher, iTunes, SoundCloud, lots of other places as well. Come check it out. If you have any suggestions for me, any other guests that you think would be a great fit, please email me, bj@thebusymarketer.com, or again, tweet me, bj@bjsmithstrategy. Thanks again to everybody who's joined us on the Hangout and on the hashtag MRCap Twitter chat. Please go ahead and mark your calendars for the same time next week, Thursday. We will see you guys and look forward to talking to you again. Everybody want to say goodbye?
Goodbye.
Blake is just waving. Blake, it doesn't work for the podcast.
All right, bye.
See you guys. Thanks for joining Marketing Recap, the show that gives you a peek inside the world of digital marketing. Remember to join us next Thursday for the live show at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific on Google+, or Twitter using hashtag MRCap. And please tell your friends about the show, subscribe via iTunes or Stitcher, and view all episodes and news stories at marketingrecap.com. See you next week.